We are live. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome,
Hello,
everyone,
hello.
to another episode of Sometimes Dungeons, Sometimes Dragons with myself, Ivy, and Ben. Ben does D&D.
Hello,
Today we
hello.
have our lovely guest. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm DruidGeek on most things, including Twitch and TikTok. TikTok's a little weird right now, but you can still find me if you search up the name. But I also go by Mike, or anything you want to call me. How you doing, lovely folks?
You know what? Fair enough. So, as normal, we have no script, we have no ideas, we just come in with a guest, totally off script, and come up with either NPCs or monsters or one shots or an entire town of flumps or whatever we normally end up with. Mike, tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the D&D community at the moment. Are you DMing? Are you a player?
Um, I'm currently a player in some home games. I don't really run a stream game right now. I more participate. I'm in the background. I cheer on friends when they need it.
Which we love and
But
appreciate.
yeah, I'm hoping to, at some point be on, but I'm just happy to be supporting my friends and the community around.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about how long you've been playing D&D for.
I thought it was a year, but apparently it's been 3 years from my Snap
Right.
stories. Oh,
I like that. Apparently, it's been more than that.
I legitimately didn't know. I thought it was so much longer, but I was wrong. Um, I started in high school. I started in a club, and now I'm playing D&D with some of the most fantastic people that I met, including both of y'all. So
Oh.
Wholesome.
Stop.
Oh,
Stop.
thank you, Commune. Commune immediately coming in, making sure that we're taking care of ourselves. Thank you, Commune. We got a hydrate and a stretch.
cool.
I actually have water beside me. Thank you, Commune.
Do both at the same time.
Ivy, are you okay? You have water?
Yes, I know. Don't at me.
Are you sure you're okay?
Yep.
Ivy, is that you?
It's me, I swear.
Yeah.
Also, I noticed
Those
we're all
are-
wearing black. We all look like we color coordinated
Yeah.
for the day.
This is our telltale signs that something is wrong. If Ivy drink, we've had both of these today. Before Mike joined us, we were sat in the call, and I joined and I was like, "How are you doing, man?" And I said, "I'm groovy," and that was. I said it, and I was the first one to be like, you know what? Now I'm gonna say that one again. Now Ivy's drinking water. Clearly, we're both not okay. Something's wrong. Something's off.
The universe said you're both gonna be weird today.
I am groovy. That's the quote of the day for me.
So Mike, you said that you started D&D in high school.
Mhm.
Did you start off as a player, or did you immediately get tossed into DMing?
I started off as a player for someone who I now work with. And I had no clue what I was doing. My first character was a dragonborn because I saw it and I pointed at it and I said, "Dragons are cool."
Accurate.
There, that was that. And then immediately for my friend group, I was the first one to DM.
Nice.
So when you first started DMing, what did you start off with?
I started off with my homebrew actually, because
Same.
I looked at the module and I was so confused. I read through. I think it was Waterdeep at the time. I don't remember, but I just read through it and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
That's fair.
So let's make it up.
Modules confuse me. I don't think I ever have or ever will be able to run a module. The one time I've played in a module was I feel bad because from what I've heard, the module's really good. But whenever I hear the name of it now, I just immediately go, oh, just because I had such a negative experience playing it. It was just, yeah. And yeah. Homebrew is fun. Modules are great, but like homebrew is like, I feel like at this point, when a lot of the people I've played D&D with have played a lot of the modules, and so I feel like if I ask someone to run a module, I'll be like, yeah, but like people kind of know what's going to happen already, because like but with homebrew it can be anything. And the best thing about it as well, and I see this with a lot of DMs, even online, it just when it's homebrew, everything just goes completely buck wild, and you can just take it in so many directions, even a direction you didn't think you could from the very start. Like I know Mark Humes, who runs the High Rollers campaign, originally when he started his series Herois, which is the second campaign that they've been running over there, the goal was to make the world a module he could release once it was done. But he's now come out and said, yeah, no, that was the goal at the start, and then everything got weird, so it's not possible anymore. And I'm like, that's just great though. That's so cool.
I think everything got weird is such an accurate way to describe D&D campaigns in general. Like everything got
100%.
weird.
Everything got weird.
So, Mike, do you have a favorite thing that you've homebrewed, like in a game? Like, is there anything that sticks out to you? Because I myself run homebrew, that's what I normally do. And there are little things that always stick out, but is there something that you put so much love and passion into you that you're like, yes, this?
For me, a lot of the things that I've homebrewed that I've loved is because my players reacted so positively to it. And one of them was an NPC who they just simply named Serve. Because he was a skeleton, he was in a full 3-piece suit and a hat, and he had a tray stuck to him. And whenever the party needed it, they would create just like potions and different things, and all they said was serve.
Aww.
And would protect the party at any point. And some more lore had been released later down the line. But just the amount of joy they had with the one character who could only say one thing, it made that, especially since that was my first time I DM'd, like that meant a lot. So he's been a favorite throughout the years.
Aw, I love that. Do you normally keep your NPCs and move them to other games? Do you have those guest characters that you're like, this is a constant in all of my worlds?
Yeah, there's one who is named simply Ripple, who is a spy. He goes around. I like to fit a story of why they might be in this other world. So usually I have an explanation for it. And I also sometimes throw some characters that I made, just because I know them well, that they could also work as an NPC. Not all of them, but some.
Just some of them.
Yeah.
So let's see. You said you're not running any streamed games. You said you're running home games at the moment?
I ran a one-shot. I used to run a home game, but that stopped before the pandemic. Yeah. However, at some point I want to run it, but I don't know if I'm in the mental fortitude in order to do that right now.
It's a lot of mental capabilities to run a game. Mm-hmm. It's a lot that you have to think about.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I've been working on the game that I've started running, a game for Ivy and a couple of other people as a home game. It's my first time DMing. Mm-hmm. We've not played in over a month now, just because one of our players had to do some real life stuff.
We love real life stuff.
That kind of real life stuff. What?
Gross.
Kind of meant that they couldn't be up at the times that we were going to be playing. Had to be, doing work stuff. But that was only for a set period, and as of Tuesday, we should be back to it.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Have I spent this last month working on the game at all?
No.
So
it's so hard to find time.
But the thing is, though, I found with that, definitely with the way my mind works with making stuff like that, is that like I started working on it again today. Mm-hmm. And I've made I've come to the table with a bunch of new ideas, and I feel like if you're constantly working, it can like kind of drain you a little bit, and you kind of just like, well, I have to do this thing and I have to do that and that. Mm-hmm. But then when you kind of leave it for a little while, you can come back to it with some fresh new ideas and be like, okay, well, I can add this and I can do that, and then mm-hmm. I can have this subplot and this thing. And I've definitely come back to that today when I started working on it again. Yeah.
I've had a problem with overworking myself when it came to my home, when I did have my home game. And it got to the point where I stopped planning because I was just out of ideas. So I came to the session not prepared. I would just make things up on the spot, and I think that I shot myself in the foot because of that. But if you, I agree with you, taking the time just for yourself for a little while, especially if there's like a break, you can come at it with a new perspective, and I think that helps a lot when it comes to running.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was about to say, I ran a game, or started to, a campaign that was homebrewed, and I lost all motivation and felt so burnt out because I was constantly planning,
Hmm.
but nothing was going the way I wanted it to, and the players seemed bored. They weren't, but in my own DMing eyes, I knew it wasn't as good as I thought it was. Like, but it was as good as I imagined it was going to be, and I really burnt myself out on that, so I had to step away from that one, but... sometimes it's okay to take a break. Mental health comes first, especially when it comes to D&D, because
Oh yeah, 100%.
whether as a player, whether as a DM, either way, you got to put your mental health first. Otherwise, it's going to take such a toll on you, and then you're going to make it feel like work.
Agreed.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
D&D should not feel like work unless it is actually your job.
It should be the opposite. Well, I mean, even then, like it
But
should
even
be
then-
the opposite. Like even when it is, your job, like
You should feel excited.
at the end of the day,
to
it
come
shouldn't
in.
feel like it. You should be excited to be able to play and have fun. And like if you're not, you should be able to take that break from it, because that's the thing, is that when you do something and you don't enjoy it, immediately it's work. But when you take something that you enjoy and make it work,
Mhm.
that can then make it to a point where you don't enjoy it, and it's like, right, okay, well, you don't want to lose that interest. That's definitely something with D&D. You definitely don't want to make it feel like work, even if it does then become a job. It's
Mhm.
that weird balance of being like, well, this is like fun, but like it is technically a job, but I can't think of it like that, because otherwise it will kind of end up dragging it down, and then
Yeah.
it's not fun,
Yeah. Agreed.
So, since we come in unscripted, and this has been a very good conversation, do you want to build some NPCs?
Sure.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Ben's like, yes, NPCs.
I love the miracles.
Normally when we're creating NPCs, Ben will start working on them in Hero Forge. Not sponsored, but we absolutely adore Hero Forge.
Hero Forge is great. Hero Forge and D&D Beyond, the two things that like genuinely have made my D&D experience so much easier as a person. Like I have one campaign currently where I am working with just manual sheets and having to work stuff out manually. I ran into an issue even yesterday. We leveled up and I was trying to calculate HP, and it was an API level, and I was like, okay, I'm going to up my constitution to 20 because like I can do that now. We were leveling up to level 8, and I was like, okay, I'm going to up my constitution to 20, all good, and then I'll like calculate my new HP, and I was like, how do I do that? Oh, and then I've got like the constitution modifier as well, and I don't know how all that works, and it was just I had no idea what I was doing. But
I
D&D
love
Beyond
how
makes that so
it's
much
gotten to
easier.
the point where like the people who started off playing D&D on paper are like, yeah, just use D&D Beyond. Like, just
Yeah,
It's so much easier and it's a lot more streamlined.
it's gonna be so
very user friendly.
Well, it's gonna be
Yeah.
so funny when everybody comes back to like real game, like in real life gaming, and has to remember how to do it on paper.
Yes. I've only used paper once, and I was so confused after that. I was like, wait,
Right.
this goes here, that goes. How do you calculate that? And it's like I started off using D&D Beyond. I'm gonna continue using D&D.
It's definitely because I started off with paper as well,
Mhm.
and making
Yeah.
all my players use paper. And since things have now gone electronic for the most part, all of my stuff is online, so it's going to be very interesting when I have to come back and be like, oh, I need the monster manual. I can't just do this on D&D Beyond. I'm sitting at the table. So
I mean, they have like the mobile app and stuff now,
yeah,
so it
which
does
is
make it
wonderful.
a little easier.
Yeah, which is wonderful. So, Mike, do you have a race or a class that you think just make really fun NPCs?
I like ones like Kalishtar or ones that can do abilities that can not change the party dynamic, but
Mhm.
when they introduce themselves to the party, you know that they're different, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I also like personally giving NPCs flaws because I feel they make them a little more human, not to the point where they're off or too bad, but just ones that are like they struggle with this, but they're trying to do better, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, just make
It
them
makes them a lot more real, you know?
give
Yeah.
them more of a PC flavor to them instead of an NPC.
Mm-hmm.
That's a common thing I think people kind of run into with NPCs because like a lot of the time, like again going back to that video game mentality of NPCs, a lot of the time in video games, like even if they've got like some sort of like storyline, like this NPC's life is great and they live in this town and nothing has ever gone wrong in their life ever. Oh, apart from this tiny thing that you might be able to help me with, you know, Mr. Game Person. But aside from that, life is
Game
perfect.
person.
Yeah.
But like making NPCs that have, you know, real backstory and, you know, real life to them very much makes the world feel like it's like a more real place, and especially as well, like the world goes on without you being there, you know, like their life goes on, you know, once you leave or even before you show up, if you choose to go do this quest first or that quest first, their life changes, you know, things happen. And I think giving NPCs kind of like flaws and backstories like that definitely makes them a lot more fluid and interesting to interact with, because it doesn't feel like it's like, cool, they're here to give me this tiny bit of information, this tiny bit of flavor, and then that's it. You know, I'll never see them again. Then they're not important anymore.
Well, I think that goes the same for your villains as well. Like when you have a
Mhm.
really dynamic BBEG of, I've got this going on, and he's in the background doing this, and his minions are doing this, and it feels very much like it's moving, or like there is a timeline of things you need to hurry up and do things because they're optimizing. It very much
Mhm.
makes it feel more of a situation that party needs to handle urgently or not, depending on how you're running your BBG. It's a big reason why people change how they run Strahd. Yes, Strahd is very much like a one-dimensional character in a way until you make him and create him your own. You can't run him by the book. You change him, you make him your own. You
Yeah.
make him a more dynamic Strahd, as most people do. Baxter and Andrew is a great example of taking Strahd and turning him into something more, as he don't want to run a one-dimensional villain. It's less fun. But
I think there's a fine line you have to toe between NPC and DMPC, especially when you're making flaws with characters. I've been in games where the DM decided to bring in a DMPC, and it didn't mesh with the party dynamic, and it became more about that character than it did about everybody else's. But I was watching a stream with Grim Songbird and D&D Corso specifically about
yes.
D&D villains, and what really resonated with me was a villain can be a hero in someone else's story. That not all of them. There are some that are really bad.
Right.
You can make some that they're doing something because they believe their intentions are good. And I like making NPCs and characters like that, because the party can not only learn from that, but the NPC can as well, and then help the party in a different way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what sort of NPC are we looking at creating today? Or a group of NPCs, depending how far we get. Because this conversation is a very good one. Oh, you got another hydrate. Thank you.
Ooh.
Hydration.
Thank you, George.
Sure, take care of yourself.
NPC. Trying to think. What would be a fun, interesting NPC?
Maybe let's start with the race, and then build off from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you guys make your NPCs, what do you usually go for when it comes to? Do you guys like to start off with race? Do you guys start off with an idea first?
It depends on which town my party is going to head into.
Okay.
I already have a very large world of like 45 places that's very much homebrewed. So it just kind of depends because I've left. There are 5 or 6 NPCs in each town, but I've left also a lot of these towns open for, oh, the party is looking for this specific thing. I guess I need to hurry up and make that. I'll put that in this town. That way they have something to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally, though, it'll start off with an idea of, I realize I don't have any noble houses. I should really create that because there's a king. Where are the lords and ladies? Is the most recent one that I was like, oh, wow, I have no nobles for them to interact with. And one of them's backstory will come into play with that. And I was like, all right, cool. So while I start off with an idea, it's also very much player driven and background, because there's going to be NPCs that you don't expect in a player's background. That's just how it is.
Absolutely.
Ben, how do you normally come up with yours? Because you also are, like you said, running a homebrew world for the first time as a baby DM.
It very much depends on, I think a lot of the time for me, I probably end up kind of like, obviously like NPCs don't really have like classes, but like they have abilities that are based off classes. So I kind of think, right, okay, so like what kind of abilities would I want? What kind of class they would be? So I kind of start with that, and then I kind of work from there based on like what I want or what I need. But sometimes it can stem from what race the character is first, just because it really depends on the situation of like what I'm like building. Like if like you're like, okay, I'm building an NPC for this town, you can think, right, well, like if it's specifically in this town, like what kind of races live here, what goes on in this town, what am I looking for? And then from then it kind of becomes like, okay, well, like they'll probably be this race, and then but like what will their details be? But then if you've got something that's like completely out in the wilderness, like an NPC you'd run into like in a forest or just out in the open somewhere, kind of away from civilization, then I think it becomes a lot more about who they are as a character first. Because I find as well with a lot of humanoids, because I found as well, like as I'm kind of expanding and I'm playing more of D&D, I'm trying to move away from kind of like the kind of classic races that a lot of people go for, like your humans, your half elves, your elves, and you kind of start like, people start going into things like dwarves, dragonborn, halflings, half orcs, tieflings. Obviously, never played a tiefling in my life. Crazy.
Oh, wow.
Neither one of you.
Never.
But like,
me? No.
my favorite thing to do is to just go and look through different races that exist in D&D, because there are so many. Like I think there are a lot of ones that people kind of see in stretch. There's I want a posture check as well.
I was gonna say fine.
There's definitely a lot of characters that you see that like it's like, okay, so that there's a lot of races that exist that people don't really talk about that often. Like I did this recently. I was looking just now and I was thinking about the kind of race for a character. I was like, oh, well, what could we go for? And like again, like just scroll to near the bottom of like the D&D Beyond races tab, and there's just so many that I've just never seen before.
There are 10 variations of tiefling.
Yes.
Like there are 2 types of Gith. Like there's Gith Yankees, there's Yuan-Ti, there's Warforged that people forget about sometimes because and no, Warforged don't fit in every world, of course. Some
Simic hybrids.
Yeah, Simic hybrids.
Simic hybrids, yeah.
Just recently, in the one shot that I ran a couple nights ago, someone played a Leonian, and I've never seen anyone play a Leonian.
Right?
Them. I think they're so
Leonins are very cool.
They're very cool, but definitely underutilized.
That's why if we do create an NPC, maybe we should use ones that's a little more underrated than some of the normal classes, just to give
100%.
that, bring that forward a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. What's a good one?
Let's have a look.
Is anything really speaking to you, Benjamin?
I'm having a look. Okay, so an NPC I wanted to make for a while, and this doesn't have to be the one we made it now, is I very much wanted to make something that I thought was quite interesting, was a changeling that is very much gender fluid. I think I've talked to you about this before,
Yes.
Ivy, and I thought, I thought that's
Yes.
would be, I think, a very interesting character of almost like a character that you can meet, and it's like, oh, okay, well, like I've met you, and like I think I know you, but then you meet them again, it's like, well, actually, I feel a little different today. This is how I'm changing. I think
This
that's
is how I identify today.
yeah, no, exactly, yeah, and I think changelings very much just as a race kind of have that, and I think it's very interesting, and how they can just change and just be whatever they how
They feel
depending
like.
on how they are, they can they can literally change to be who they want to be, and I think that makes for a very interesting character. So possibly that's something I've always thought about for a while.
For a quick tangent, real quick, just
Absolutely.
a
No, go
quick
for
story
it.
I'd like to say,
for it.
is on a different game that I ran with some friends overseas. One person made a changeling because they were very much grappling with a lot of identity and gender issues. And the more the time it progressed, they started getting more comfortable with the identity because of this character, because of this changeling, because they can be whoever they want to be. And that
Exactly.
helped them develop their mindset and get into just becoming who they are. Sorry, Ivy.
No, you're fine. I just was gonna say, I think we joke all the time as D&D players that D&D is just therapy, but in all honesty, D&D is one of the most helpful things that you can have as an outlet, creatively or otherwise.
Yeah.
How many times do you get to play, like, for example, a male strong head of an organization as a female? It's very much an outlet to explore the other opportunities that you might not have in real life, and it's such a good tool to have.
It lets you be someone else. It also as well helps put yourself in a situation where you can deal with characters from different backgrounds who think differently, who work in different ways. Like in D&D, you might run into a character that's very, hot-headed and headstrong, and it's like, no, we should do things this way, and should do that. People like that very much exist in the world, and whilst the player may be acting, and at the end of the day, it's like, oh well, no hard feelings, because it's not real. Dealing with that character in game can end up being frustrating, but then you find out ways to work around it and like work through it, and then start working with that person to get to a common goal. And it's like, well, that's just practice for real life, when you come across those kind of people that will be like that. And, that's just an example, but D&D very much takes real issues and just makes it something that you can work with and work through, and not like, well, like we joke, D&D is therapy. It's not.
It's not.
Like,
you should still see a
but
therapist.
it is super helpful. Yes, absolutely.
However, it's a good tool.
It is a great tool. It is a great tool for improv and learning about different situations and backgrounds. And
go ahead.
Yeah,
it looked like you were going to add on to it.
cool.
Yeah, I know personally, I deal with a lot of self-image and self-esteem issues. So especially when I started D&D, it was more of, I don't want to be myself for a little while. I would rather step into somebody else's shoes and be this person that I would love to be one day. So I created characters that were these confident, were these charismatic, or these people who just were able to help others. And through that, and as I developed for, I guess, 3 years now, that I was able to find a little more of that in myself. And I'm still going through it, and it's not perfect. And I don't think you can ever reach, well, you can reach that point, but it may not be forever, and that's okay.
Yeah. It definitely allows you to take, parts of yourself that you might keep a little suppressed, or parts of yourself that you don't, see, in your real life, and it allows you to just take those parts and be like, I'm going to play this character for a bit. And then the more you play them, the more you get used, the more naturally playing that role becomes, and it becomes an extension of you. It's like that is a part of you that you get to be every week or every month or however often you get to play, and you just get to just kind of become that person for a while and kind of explore those traits and kind of be that person for a little bit. And then you may see part of that kind of coming out in yourself when outside of game. Hopefully for the better. It's not-
Yes.
you don't want to you don't want to be a toxic character and then realize, I'm now toxic in real life. That's not good.
That would not be good. That's
Don't
what
do
my
that.
character would do, Ben. Ben, it's what
Ah.
my character.
Oh my god.
I watch both of you just
Bruh.
outwardly cringe. That makes me very overjoyed. I
That
just
statement
did that.
hurts me so much.
It's what my character would do.
Mhm.
Even your dog.
Even though dog says
Even
like,
Kaylee.
I protest.
You tell them, guys. You tell them. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Who do we want to go for our first NPC then?
Because while we're talking about this and like the importance of mental health in D&D and everything, it just makes me want to include a D&D therapist for my adventures.
Right?
Like,
Mhm.
I might need to make this as a character and NPC at some point.
Yeah.
Just because I think that would be really meta and really funny.
Right.
You
Right.
have
It's
to go
like,
help
how
the
do you know me?
therapist.
It's like, I know everything.
I know
It's
everything.
just a small goblin who's just like, all right, let's sit down, let's get everything together. They pull out a notepad, they're ready.
All right.
I feel like the illustrator would be a bit like that.
I feel like
think?
they would, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just like the idea that this little goblin that Mike has described is just like, all right, tell me why you killed the spider. Like, why did you feel like you had to go out of your way to kill that thing? Like,
Oh my god! You know what? Yes, we should make that. That's it. That's it. Just a goblin that's just a therapist.
Okay,
Straight
They're
up.
just a traveling deity. If the party ever needs them, they just like flick a coin or like something, and they just appear. Like, all right, what's going on?
all right, tell me what's going on. It's almost like when you text your therapist. It's just a coin and they show up. Tell me what's going on. Oh, I
Yep.
see a mimic. Are you? What? Can you tell me a little bit about why you're struggling with this mimic? Imposter syndrome. Okay. All right. Like, you resonated a little too hard with the mimic. Okay. All right. Tuck that away in your file.
Amazing.
I love that. Oh my god, yes.
All right. Ben, let's make a goblin.
Yes, a goblin who is just the most chill therapist ever. That's, you know what? That is actually a trait that I love so much. For D&D characters that actually make some of the most interesting characters and NPCs, taking what the book has said and just completely flipping it on its head and just being like, I'm gonna make a character who's this race, but they act in this way. Is that what the book says they do? Absolutely not. I don't care.
Goblin therapist.
Yeah, exactly.
I just texted that to my friends in my group. Just goblin therapist.
Goblin therapist.
Goblin therapist.
Therapist.
Amazing. This guy definitely wears glasses as well. He's got
Oh,
like those
absolutely.
big like circular glasses, 100%.
Mhm. I see like little tufts of hair with like a hat, like one of those Newsies hats, just like sitting ready.
I see that. Does he have a portable chair? I feel like he just has like a magic item that's a chair and a fainting
Mhm.
couch. That way you can just sit and relax.
Okay,
Has
he
a-
travels. He has like a pouch where he has literally just a magic item that he just drops on the ground, and when it hits the ground, it magically expands into the chair.
Yes.
So he can just do it on. He's a traveling therapist, straight up.
He has
Yeah.
I feel like we accidentally started creating the NPC here.
That's how we normally end
Oh
up
yeah,
doing
no,
this.
yeah. This is how we do it.
This is just how we always
end
end up doing this. Is we just talk about topics of D&D and then we just end up here.
Nice. I feel like they would have a never-ending pot of tea, just ready, set.
Yep. 100%.
It's like a folding boat, but a couch. Yes, Triceratops.
This is great. This is great. This is a top tier NPC already.
So we have a goblin therapist. Do you think there would be a goblin like psychiatric?
I could see that.
There's a-
I absolutely could see that.
They're brothers.
They're brothers. They decided to go into the system like together because they realized how much adventurers actually needed therapy and or psychiatry.
Right.
I feel like
Oh.
they just watched the adventuring parties come in and out of town and they're like, Like they leave town to go on a quest, they come back, they're like, wow, they're looking really rough. Like they need therapy. Wait,
I
Wait
can
a
do it.
I could do that.
I could be the
I
therapist.
could do that.
Oh my god.
That reminds me of a book my coworker described to me of. I forget what this book was called, but it's NPCs who are like the main role of this. And whenever adventuring parties come into town, that's when everything starts messing up. Like
Yep.
monsters come into town, everything, and they're like, God, I hate adventurers so much.
Yep.
Um,
I'm
And-
running
Right?
I'm running one shots actually. Ben was previously in one. And the
Mm.
whole
Yeah, that
premise
was
of
super
it,
fun.
the whole premise, which is on this channel, if you want to go watch the VOD, it'll be on our YouTube as well. We had basically the entire premise is I had the party create NPCs as their characters,
Mhm.
and was like, okay, you can be any class, any race, as long as you can tell me why it's an NPC.
Mhm.
Which led to the party of 5 creating characters like NPCs that they would never actually normally play because they're NPCs. And the whole premise is these NPCs find out that their favorite party of PCs has gone missing. And so the
Mhm.
NPCs band together to go save their favorite adventurers. And then they come back after whatever situation the adventurers got themselves into, and one of the 5 decided, you know what, I could be an adventurer myself, and left. But the rest of
Mhm.
them went back into their APC lives of, okay, cool, we had our one, we're good. But it led to some very interesting characters because they're NPCs. You would not play this as an actual character. Some of them you could probably use again, but like I had 2 gnomes in a trench coat that there were 2 different
Dude,
classes.
that was so good.
It was Nick the Tiefling. It was 2 different classes. They were stacked on top of each other. Ben played a little sweet soft boy Furbolg. Named
Yeah.
Benji. It was wild because
My sweet boy Benji.
he's so cute. But yeah, it's interesting because they very much were wild characters.
I really liked Andrew told me a little about that. His
Yeah.
character Bucket. And I just like the fact that he could pull out anything. It was just wild.
Mm.
Andrew dropped 550 pounds of stuff out of his briefcase on top of my Devourer and killed
Woo.
it.
Oh my God.
Because he's an NPC, he doesn't know
Mhm.
what to bring on adventure. So in his briefcase, which it was a bag of holding flavored as a briefcase, they threw 45 books, a bucket, a barrel, a hook but no rope, a candle, just random things. And the final blow to the Devourer was the bucket landing on top of the Devourer's head, cracking down the middle, and the Devourer's eyes rolling back in his head as he fell forward. And
Oh,
that killed it.
brutal.
It was rough,
Right.
but it was such a good thing because it was just a random object that the NPC was like, you know what, this will help. I'll definitely go get the party. Cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it made us very much have to think outside the box. Because you think, oh, I'm a player. I'll use my like super OP ability that no NPC would have. Like you got to think outside the box. You got to think, okay, well, as an NPC, what would I, have? Like what
Mhm.
stuff can I do? Like it was very good. Ivy before the game very much came to us and was like, everything you have on you, like everything you have to use at your disposal, you need to justify that you have as an NPC.
Mhm.
Like you can't just be like, oh, but I have this thing. Wow, crazy. It's like, no, you need to justify why you would have it.
Yep.
For what reason outside of being an adventurer would you have this? And I was
Man,
like,
how weird
right.
would it be if Benji showed up with like a legendary sword and was like,
crazy.
Well, yeah, this tiny shopkeeper, like, yeah, I have a god slaying sword for some reason.
Weird. I don't know where I got it. It just
Yeah.
kind of showed up here. That's not how that works. So, Ben, have you brought up our goblin boy?
I am currently making him. We need to think of a name for this guy. What's his name gonna be?
Well, is he licensed, or is he just a goblin that shows up and acts as your therapist? Because like this was a question that crossed my mind.
I like the idea that he tried to get licensed, but they said no because you're trying to do a for like a venturing party who goes out every day. No, So like, okay, I'm gonna do it
I'm
myself.
gonna do it anyways. I took all the classes. I basically am gonna graduate. I just am not licensed. Because
Yeah, and that's one of his stories that he tells the PCs when they're doubting themselves. It's like when everyone else is doubting you, you just gotta keep on going.
You
You
just
just
gotta do
gotta
it.
You can
you
still
just gotta
do
do it yourself, even when everyone tells you that you can't do it. That's why I'm here, being your therapist right now. Do I have the backing of the government? Absolutely not. But here I am anyway.
Just do it.
I feel like he's such a supportive little goblin. Like I just love it.
Yeah, 100%.
I just see him showing up, like setting up his little magical setup, patting the fainting couch, like, come here, come sit with me.
Yep,
To like the barbarian who's raging, like, come sit with me. You wanna tell me what's going on? Like, I feel like it would just be such a sweet character.
Management therapy for the barbarian. I love it.
Yeah, anger management therapy for the barbarian. Like, why are we upset? Come here, come sit next to me. And he just like this little goblin next to this large Goliath barbarian. It's like, okay, tell me what's going on. Why are you angry?
I'm currently looking up goblin names because I like when I create NPCs, I like to see what's there and off of it and be like, okay, this is a cool name or a cool concept. How about we work it in this way?
That's what I do as well. Occasionally, what I'll do is I'll just button mash on the keyboard and then like delete letters and be like, okay, what can I create out of this?
Yeah, a lot of the time I'll find I'll make like I'll go to like certain engines and like look at suggested names and stuff, and then I'll come up with a name that's like similar to one of those and be like, oh, that's cool. Like I did that today when I was making a name for an NPC, because names is something I always struggle with. But I'll be like, oh, okay, like as well. What's even better is being dyslexic actually helps, because I read it completely wrong. Like if someone said a name, just was like went through it and read the names to me, I'd be like, yeah, it doesn't sound great. But like I'll look at a name and I'll read it wrong because of dyslexia brain, and then I'll go, oh, that's not what it says. But what if it? What if it was?
What if it was?
What if it was?
I feel like that is also the entirety of D&D is just, but what if it was though? But what if?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I feel like that's how a lot of homebrew worlds and just things come about. What if this?
What if this?
What if this, but also this?
What if this, but also this? I have a couple of things coming up in my streamed game that are like that, where I saw an image on Pinterest. I was like, but what if that? But what if a lot of that? But what if is a brilliant question. Says the Library of Lost Tales, which is Azure. If you're not following the Library of Lost Tales, they stream on Mondays as well as a couple of other days, and they are a riot of a party. So if you need something to watch on your Monday afternoons before you watch me and Ben on Beyond the Realms get our butts kicked, Monday over on the Library of Lost Tales.
This has nothing to do with D&D. So please just
no, absolutely no.
So, you guys know Arcane Anthems, right?
Yes, the lovely Wes,
yes.
whose music we are actually currently using. Correct.
Go for Arcane Anthems on social media. But do you guys know what I did on his stream the other night?
I saw a clip from it. Would you like to tell us?
Do you guys know of the show Hot Ones?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm aware of Hot Ones.
You know the Last Dab sauce?
Yes.
Oh no.
Good, it's integral to the story. We were on stream and someone started a hype train for Wes.
God, yes, I did see you do this.
And they got to level 5, which I didn't know was the highest level. So I'm like, hey, if he gets him to level 6, I'll drink hot sauce. And I just said hot sauce. I went nondescript with it. He was like, okay, how about this? We'll get to like 110% and then this, or whatever percentage it was. And they hit it really fast. I'm like, well, and I went over to my fridge, got the Last Dab sauce. I have it with me currently. And I just downed the bottle like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I saw it. It was rough.
It was rough.
How'd you feel after that?
I was okay. My throat closed up, but I was pretty good. The morning after, though, I was I was out for the. I was down for the count. Oh my god.
Ooh. Yeah, I saw Wes yelling at you to not do that, and then you very much went okay and did it anyways.
Full roundabout way to say follow Arcane Anthems. They do lovely music, especially for the stream.
Yes.
And don't drink the last dab hot sauce like it is seltzer.
Agreed. Yeah, don't do that.
Sorry for the tangent.
No, that was wonderful.
Oh no, that was top tier.
So Ben, how
currently
is our little hero Forge
building.
Boy looking?
Oh, it's looking great. I love this because okay, so the best thing about this that I've realized, is that still gotta come up with a name for him, but
Well,
the best thing that's come up recently is I was like, oh man, it won't feel the same if he's like standing up. They recently added wheelchairs, so I've just got him sat in a little wheelchair. It's great. It's got his
that
look and
almost
everything.
tracks for me that he would be in a wheelchair or
Yeah.
have something to add on to him to make him a more dynamic character of,
You know what?
okay,
Yeah.
I can't go adventure. I'm just going to support the party emotionally.
Can the wheelchair have like different things that he could do? So like if the player needs a tissue, he just presses a button on the wheelchair and it like pops out like a hand with like a little
I
little,
feel like
tissue.
he
Yes.
teamed up with like he has an artificer friend that he's
Yeah.
really good friends with that teamed up and helped him make it, like a mechanic.
Yes.
Can we
All
get
right.
a wheelchair
Little
mechanic?
army.
Because that'd be cool. That's a cool NPC. Like somebody who specializes in disability where they like make arms or legs or anything, and we can make them an artificer. We should make him
Yeah,
a mechanic
100%.
best friend.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, 100%.
There we go. Cool. We have two.
Yes.
After we come up with our comedy boy's name. He's
Oh,
not,
100%.
He's not licensed, so he can't go by doctor. I mean, he could, but like,
Do we also pronouns? Do we want to go they them for the goblin?
You know
I feel
what?
like that's a
Why
good
not?
idea. I feel like
Why
they them
not?
checks for our goblin therapist.
So are we thinking more comedic? Are we thinking more serious for name?
I think straight up serious because again, like going against kind of what stereotypical like goblins are,
Mhm.
just taking that and just completely just flipping it.
Turning it on
Because
its
you
head,
think
yeah.
about it, it's like, yeah, I know someone you could talk to. He's a goblin. Why would a goblin be able to help me? That would like be a lot of people's like first thought. It's like, why would a goblin be able to help me? And then suddenly it's just like, tell me all of your problems.
It's like trust
Yeah,
me.
well,
Like,
okay.
Trust me. I've seen this guy for like a year now. He's lovely. I
Agreed.
feel like he's very well loved. Like all of the adventurers really just love him,
Yeah.
or love them, and would do anything to protect this little goblin. And they just show up and they're like, "Tell me your problems. Here's a tissue."
Yeah. Well, do you want to talk? I'm
He
here.
just rolls around in a wheelchair as well. A sweet boy.
Are sweet.
Heck
They're
yeah.
sweet. I love them.
A sweet goblin boy.
Are sweet.
I have finished the Hero Forge. If we wanna
Oh, God.
pop them up on the stream, maybe get a couple of
Yes.
ideas from the chat.
Send them over to
I
me.
will put him. Yeah, no, I will send him to you. I love this. I got to work on it immediately, and I was like, I love this. Just as I kept
love
going.
that.
Look at that.
We're going to find them here. Let me see.
Look at that sweet boy.
Oh, I love him. Oh, I love them.
They're so sweet.
Cool. I will add this to the stream as well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Throw this up
send-
on the stream if anyone has any
send
ideas
it.
for our kind of our sweet goblin boy. I imagine he's like an older goblin as well.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
He's kind of,
Experience.
like, got that. Yeah, he's
Experience.
got that like old wise energy. You know.
They just need a name.
Yeah.
I'm adding the image now, and then we will throw it up on stream here.
Let me see this.
Our sweet boy.
I'm just gonna throw him up there. Boop, and he is on stream. Boop, there he is. He is right above.
Hey.
There, right above Mike.
I'm reloading, so I'll check them out in just a
No,
second.
you are just fine. But they are wonderful, and they are great, and I love them very much.
Another thing that I do usually when I'm creating names is I look up a word and see what it means in different languages. Or,
Right? Yeah, that is a great way to come up with names for places.
So I like helper in Greek. This is Google Translate, so I don't know how much I trust it. But like
Yeah.
Boith or Vo,
Ooh.
Ezer.
I love them. They're so
Oh, they are lovely. Sorry, I just saw it.
they're so good. Ben, you did a wonderful job with our therapist.
Agreed.
Look at them. Like, look at them. I love them.
Sweet bean.
I not gonna lie, I would turn that into a character and actually get stats for them. I think that that would be so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
All of you to assume I won't use it in your guys' game.
I was about to say,
Now, Viavel, you've got to
Yes,
start talking to people.
you've got to start talking to people.
Talk to
Violet.
yourself.
Tell me, why are you a death cleric?
Oh.
Cool. I love them. They're great. Cool. So we will just need to come up with a name, and then we are good on that. So I will take them off screen for now. And
Chat, if you have any ideas for names, hit us up with them.
I would say, so we've talked about a mechanic for wheelchairs and the disabled
Yeah.
as well. If we want to take a break before we come up with our second one, we can. If you guys are needing a break.
Yeah, gosh, wow, it's been like an hour already. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Not at all, but yeah, it's been almost an hour. So if you want to take 10 minutes and then stretch, get some more water, because I'm almost out. So,
100%.
cool. Okay, I will throw us to our break screen. We will be back in 10 minutes to create our mechanic.
Heck yeah.
And we are back.
Hello,
I
everyone.
hope everybody
We
got
have
up and
returned.
stretched and hydrated. And there's Doc. Hello.
Hello.
At least she's not attacking my face this time. So, before
Hi,
the break,
Kaylee.
we had created our goblin therapist, who we have yet named. However, we have decided that our pronouns are they, them. And then we are going to also come up with, while we wait to create a name on our goblin, create a mechanist who specializes in wheelchairs and artificial limbs. So, what race would a mechanic that specializes in that type of work do? Like, what would they be?
Yeah. Part of me at the same time, like, kind of wants to say they'd be a warforged. Just because, like, hey, I know how to fix myself.
I'll
Yeah.
fix
But
everyone
let me
else
fix other
too.
people. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I think
really
that'd be
cute,
cool.
actually. I like that a lot.
I know that Warforge, like, I think some like have compartments that they can remove and like take out. I like the idea of like this Warforge is able to like take out different parts that have like equipment or things like for them to build stuff. They're like a living
Yeah,
storage container. Is that the right word? I'm not sure.
yeah.
Hmm.
No, I got you. Hello. Mwah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool.
I love that, actually. I think that's really cool. So, Warforged Mechanic. Oh, thank you, Odin, for the raid. What's up, you
Hey,
lovely
Odin,
people?
thank you.
We
Hello,
are
all these lovely people.
we are currently creating NPCs. We have come up with a goblin therapist who uses they them pronouns, and we are now coming up with a Warforged mechanic who specializes in wheelchairs and creating artificial limbs for adventurers who have lost theirs previously. So we are working on creating a Warforged mechanic. So to go along with our goblin therapists, they're kind of friends. They tag team to help these adventurers out. So living storage unit kind of thing, like where they have a compartment in their chest, they're able to use it to help them create limbs or whatever the party may need. Do they show up at the same time as our goblin therapist? Do they work together?
I like the idea that like if something on the wheelchair isn't working, they like call in and be like, hey, I need some support, and they just like come out of the wheelchair. And they just like, all right.
Yeah, they probably okay. So I would have thought like they would probably, in terms of like in a game, they would probably either run into, they would definitely know of each other and kind of like would speak of each other kind of in passing conversations. Like it's like, oh yeah, no, like if you ran into the Warforged first, it'd be like, oh yeah, no, like I create like wheelchairs and like artificial parts and stuff like that. I did it for this, this lovely goblin person once, and they're a very lovely person and like that kind of thing.
I feel like the goblin writes referrals to the mechanic. Let me write you a referral. Looks like you're needing some help. Looks like you're really struggling with having lost part of your arm in this fight to a shambling mound. Let me write you a referral. Hold on, like this will let you know that you're legit of what you're needing, and you just take that. You take your paper and you go.
Yeah. Amazing.
I like that idea. I like that idea a lot.
I feel like you walk into the Warforged office, and it feels very much like you're walking into a doctor's office, but it is for the Warforged to work on an artificial limb and or wheelchair for you. I feel like it's very much like instead of doctor's tools or anything like that, it's just the tools of a mechanic, like on the sterilized tray.
Yes. Yes.
And he's like, yes, be with you in just a moment. Hold on.
Any clients are like, do you work in the clinical field? It was like, not exactly. Well,
I acquired this doctor's office by legal means and have turned it into a mechanic shop. Kind of.
I like the idea, especially using races that aren't very common. Of the idea just that maybe a lot of people underestimated them, both of them. And they're like, you know what? You can underestimate all you want. I'm going to rise up to the expectations I want to meet and help people because I want to help people. not because other people want me to do so.
Yeah, I feel like
Okay,
it's very much an underdog story where they were like,
Yeah.
I have the skill set, but it doesn't really fit in with the norm of what this fantasy world, or wherever you end up putting them, wanted me to live up to.
Hmm.
But that's not what I want to do, so I am going to be my own individual and I'm going to do what I want to, and that's helping others with
Yeah.
either mental health or physical health and a disability. That
Hmm.
they're like, ah, man, this adventure is really struggling with this limb
Yeah.
that they've lost. I'm gonna build them a very cool, like possibly weaponized artificial hand.
Yes.
You
So
know.
here's a question, just because I came across it in Hero Forge.
Mhm.
Do we want our lovely Warforged boy to have 2 arms or 4?
Oh,
I want to say 4.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, what are your thoughts?
I think 4 too, and I also like the idea that the fingers, like the tendons, can like shoot inward and come out with like
Little
different.
tools.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like that's 100% what this individual would do.
Mhm.
Amazing.
I don't know why I'm starting to get Cars vibes. If y'all ever seen Cars, when they go into the pit crew and they're just
A little bit, yeah, that's 100%. But I mean, more limbs, faster
Oh, yeah.
repair
Yeah.
and maintenance on those who have already come to them before, and
Mhm.
faster creating them for those who haven't. I feel like they work on payment plans too. Like they're like, oh, you're an adventurer, but you can't quite afford my services.
Yeah.
Let's set you up on a payment plan. Like you can just make payments, like
Yeah.
whenever you go
100%.
raid these dungeons, whatever else, because they still have to be able to afford the parts, but they want their service to be affordable.
Yeah.
So like,
And
here's a payment plan.
I
5
like the
gold
idea
coins.
of absolute worst comes to worst and they can't pay at all. Like they help them out with building things.
Yeah, they're like,
And
oh, you can't pay.
Oh yeah, like yeah, you can't pay in coin. Like I'll absolutely take, like, you could do like this job for me, or this, like, go
Hey,
get these
can you
parts for
file some
me, or
paperwork for me? That way I don't have to
Yeah.
do this report.
yeah.
I 100% see them being that kind
I
of
I feel like that would be a cool, like downtime activity. It's
Mhm.
like, cool, yeah, I go and help this person out in the workshop, helping them work on stuff for a
like
few
a
days.
random plot hook that
Yeah.
you could even give somebody proficiency with a tool like a thieves tool or something else depending on what you're
Mhm.
doing at the time. Odd jobs around the workshop, exactly. Gather supplies, like whatever else you need to, and it would just be a cool way for adventurers to also gain a proficiency in a skill set. Like,
Mhm.
Right.
Also,
Because
it
that's
teaches the
that's
party that
something
you
that I
can
don't
still
think
build.
gets utilized enough, is being able to learn proficiencies in games. Because, like, for the longest time I didn't even realize you could do that. I was like, you've had these set proficiencies when you start and that's it, and
Mhm.
like you can't learn anything else. It's like, I can learn more stuff.
how cool would
Hell
that be
yeah.
to give the party a chance to be like, oh yeah, you can learn. Maybe you become more proficient in like cartographer's tools because you're helping him like write out receipts or making sure the payment
Yeah.
plans are getting paid on or whatever else. It could
Mhm.
just be a cool little thing depending on the odd jobs they choose to do. You could have like a list, be like, all right, you can choose one of these jobs. Which one do you want? And you'll gain a proficiency off of that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, especially due to the fact that I think a lot of people underestimate those kinds of proficiencies. And it's like, you will never know if you're going to use them until it actually happens. And it may not always come into play, but you know what? At least you have that experience.
Mhm.
And at least you're like, okay, now I know
Yeah.
how to do this. Maybe there's going to come a time where we're in a bind and this skill set can become very useful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
100%.
I realized I need to actually forge some paperwork on one of my adventures.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm proficient with whatever skill set. I can manage
Mhm.
that. Like, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also like the idea that the Warforge's place is called the Odd Jobs Workshop.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
love
The odd
that.
jobs workshop. You making note of these, Ivy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Library of Lost Tales. I give you credit for that because you do Odd
That's
Jobs
awesome.
Workshop. Odd
That
Jobs
is-
Workshop.
I love that.
Yes, I like that a lot. Yes.
That's so good.
Perfect.
I love it. So
The more that I think about this, is the more I really do like underdog stories. I just don't like when they're overused or
yeah.
stereotypical because there's always a chance of them losing, something bad happening.
Hmm.
I don't know much about their story, but I really like I'm forgetting his username, but Jared,
Too hard
um,
to Bard.
Too
Too
hard to
Hard
bard.
Bard. Thank you. I love his stories,
I do too.
and
Yeah,
I've
that
been
story's really good.
Wonderful story.
looking at them recently, and they're like, oh, they're so good.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm definitely getting some great ideas for our lovely Warforged.
I was gonna say this is
Um,
quite the character.
I also immediately off this character am completely getting vibes of I feel like their pronouns would also be they them.
Mm-hmm.
I
I also
think as
feel that
well.
way. I feel
Yeah,
that way as
agreed.
well.
100%. Because I feel like they kind of get that vibes of just like, yeah, you know, I am just
Well,
me.
and I think it's
Yeah.
important in D&D to have not just the linear gender,
Yeah.
because we get very trapped in, oh, I've made an NPC, cool, he's a guy, he just does this thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, they can be a lot more linear than that. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is
Mhm.
like, for example, one that I have in the girls' game is their name is Finley. They're they're a flower shop owner. They're very androgynous. You cannot tell if they are actually male or female because they are they them. I
Mhm.
very much designed them around that, and they use they them pronouns. They'll answer to other things. You could call them she or her or he or they.
Yeah.
They'll answer. They're not going to
Yeah, I
answer
feel
that.
like
But
this is probably the kind of like they are a they them, but they will respond to anything. Like I feel
Mhm.
like for them, like it's not really important to them. They're like, you know what? I'll go by whatever you want to call me, whatever works for you.
I
You
think
know?
this also ties back into the conversation we're having earlier about creating NPCs. And you, if it calls for it, you can just have a random NPC throw out of nowhere because that's what it calls for. But having that non-linear, um, I don't know if choice is the right word, but that kind of character, it makes them more interesting and encourages the
Yeah.
party to interact with them. And
right.
they could be a character you haven't even like, they just come up right on the spot. But just having a guy named John there, it doesn't leave much to the imagination. You
No.
know, sometimes that's what it needs, but you don't always need to do
Yeah,
that.
they're gonna walk up to a random NPC in the square and ask for a piece of information. Sure, John Doe 100% fits of, ah yes, he's just a random human who's walking and going about his day,
And you'll never see
and
him
you'll
again.
never see him again.
You know?
But those NPCs that are important or that have cool dynamics or somebody that the party definitely, it boosts not only morale of the party because they can see, oh wow, like this is very much a living, breathing world like we had talked about earlier. But I
Hmm.
also encourage the role play of, oh cool, this is something I can interact and role play with. Cool.
Yes, agreed.
Cool. Because not all parties are going to roleplay just by themselves. Like they need the
Yeah,
encouragement.
sometimes you got to encourage them. Yeah.
And I think that these two characters also encourage that of our goblin therapist showing up and saying, "Hey, you seem to really be struggling. Tell me about what's going on." And this Warforged, if somebody wanted to have an interaction with another NPC that was struggling to fix one of their limbs that they had been, that had been created by our Warforged, of, okay, cool, you now have to help this NPC get back to the other NPC, that way they can get fixed. It's
Yeah.
there are plot hooks that you can tie in, which is always important in a good story. You have to have those plot hooks because even though parties derail, you still have to bring them back to the story somehow.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what do we want to call our Warforged and our Goblin?
Names is always the hardest part, you know?
Yeah, agreed. I will normally just come up with anything that is just first on my mind. But I feel like these deserve a bit more care.
I feel like these are two characters too that you could kind of insert into any world, because you can work around why there is a Warforged. Oh, a wizard made
Yeah.
them, or oh, somebody else made them to do a different job, and this is what they ended up wanting to do, and they let them go. Or
Yeah.
I feel like you can kind of work these two in wherever you might need them.
Yeah, 100%. Um, definitely.
I love them
They are
both.
just like the kind of characters that can be anywhere at any convenience and kind of just do their own thing, you know?
Well, imagine
Um,
if each episode, like, say you have some downtime where you're like, I don't really know, I haven't really had time to plan anything. You know what? They're gonna go interact with this Warforged. Like, you see a new random shop and they're struggling with something or something else and they need some help doing some paperwork or odd jobs or a
Mm-hmm.
fetch quest of, hey, I need some nuts and bolts that I'm left at the blacksmith that they created for me. Can you go get those? And have something happen on the way there. It's
Mm-hmm.
very much these are two very plot hook based characters where you could insert them in a lot of cool places, I think.
Agreed.
hmm. Yeah, I am. So I'm thinking in terms of like this Warforged like coloring, I'm thinking he's kind of almost like a bronzy material and then kind of has like silvery like joints.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I like that.
Coloring. Yeah. Yeah, so kind of yeah. Sweet boy. Sweet boyo. Yeah. Kind of like I've just found a very good color that I like. It's kind of like a kind of orangey kind of color that has some like silver to it. Very nice. I like that. Um
Hmm.
so names are difficult. I always names like I literally can I'll either have so I'm like the complete like for me with names either I have the name before I've made the character or I've made the character and I still can't think of a name.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
there's no in between. Either the character's origin starts with the name or I'm struggling once I've made them on what to actually call them.
That's fair.
Is my issue. I'm like it's one or the other.
I normally just like look at something and be like, "That's," and it's like that's what their name is.
I do that
Yeah.
sometimes.
Hmm. Basher. Hmm. Hmm.
Awesome. What did we say the shop was going to be called?
We did it.
The shop for the Warforged we had suggested.
Oh, the shop. Sorry, I thought you meant the goblin. I'm so sorry.
Odd Jobs Workshop. And
Yeah.
then we had not talked about if the goblin had an office or if they just kind of go wherever. They have a portable office. I don't know
Yeah.
what their business is called. They probably have business cards of some sort because I imagine they would have the business cards and then whatever little coin or whatever
Oh my
object is
god.
given to summon
Oh
them.
my god. I have an amazing idea.
Hmm.
So this goblin, like going back to the goblin for a second,
We love our goblin.
just thinking like he's portable and whatever. So going back to something I came across in a session recently where someone homebrewed a bag of holding as a book. This
Yes.
guy carries around a briefcase, and the inside of the briefcase is a bag of holding that is also his office. Like you go into it, you just like cool. Step into my office. Just rolls himself into it. And it's like,
Step into my office. Boop.
what? Because then it's private as well. It's portable. It's private. He can have it set up with everything.
I got so excited by the idea, I knocked my shelf off.
Okay. Well, who?
Do we want the Warforged to be big or small? Do we want like a small dude that just like quickly builds? Or
I think he's relatively big just because he's got like the forearms. I think he's kind of like quite
That's
a
right.
quite
They have
That's
4 arms.
much play.
you're right.
They do have 4 arms.
100%. Yeah, so I feel like that'd be a relatively big individual.
Okay, so
I'm still struggling on this name.
okay.
Same.
So I'm gonna say they have a business card that comes with a coin attached that is able to summon them.
What if the business card
Oh.
is the coin or like a gear that has
Ooh.
like the name on it?
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, yeah.
We'll say coin. They're like specialized coins. with their logo.
Hmm.
Doubles as their business card. Doubles
I love this.
as their
I
business card.
I looked up randomized Warforged names, and these are just nouns.
I mean, to be fair, if another name doesn't come to us, we could always call him Oddjob.
Odd job.
It's
That's actually
Oddjob.
kind of cute.
Yeah.
He goes. They go by OJ for short.
That's
Oh my
adorable.
god, yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
our Warforged is named OJ, which is just odd job.
I like that.
Oddjob for sure.
OJ.
It's
That's
kind of
super
uncreative,
cute.
unlike me.
That's
I am-
fine.
I love that. No, it's super
No,
cute.
that's like what he says. It's like it's very uncreative,
Just
unlike me. I am very creative.
I'm very creative.
Yes.
I'm very creative. I feel like they're very proud of their handiwork. Only because
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah, I feel like they are the kind of person that okay, so like personality wise, because they are a Warforged, they've always kind of had as people like joke all the time, I struggle with organics, you know, and this is their kind of way of connecting with people is
Mhm.
through like their work, and that's why they got into making like prosthetics and stuff, is because it's like I'm making people. Normally
Mhm.
people don't need making because they're made organically, but when they don't, when they need parts replacing, that I know, and that's how they like connect with people.
I really like the idea that the Goblin and OJ like on weekends just have tea and are just admiring their work.
I feel like they exchange
wheelchair.
notes on clients. Like they're
Yes.
like, okay, like how's this guy doing? Are they doing okay? Like they seemed a little upset last time I saw them, and after they fought this party, like I just want to make sure they're doing all right. Have they been by your
Yeah.
office lately? Like just little check-ins. Like I love them so
Yeah.
much.
Nemo.
Cool. So we have Oddjob, which is a Warforged, say them. They specialize in artificial limbs and prosthetics, as well as wheelchairs for adventurers. And they work at Oddjob's workshop. They have payment plans to pay off debts that might come up when you get a prosthetic limb, or they can do little odd jobs for OJ to help them pay off their debts. They can do little odd jobs around the office to help them be able to afford their prosthetics or their wheelchairs. This also opens up the idea that a player character could have a character in a wheelchair, and that makes me really happy. Like,
Yes.
because you don't see a lot of that, but depending on the person playing it, of course, because you don't want to turn disability into a fantasy thing. Played in the right case, however, I think that this would be a really fun individual to have.
Agreed. I think as long as you don't create it as a caricature and you're doing it to getting the right information, especially from people who have those disabilities, I think will go a long way. It also encourages people who have disabilities that it's okay to play, and it's okay to play with those disabilities if you feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, 100%.
And how many times has a character lost a limb that are like in a BBG fight or anything else where now they don't have it, which is great flavor for a character. It really is. But if you would like, now you can go get a prosthetic limb from our lovely OJ.
That is one of the most powerful moments for a character is when they like lose a limb. That is like, oh, that's like gone.
It's gone, and it changes a lot of how you play the character and their mechanics.
As someone who's been finally watching through the Rooster Teeth show Ruby recently, there is a moment in that show where no spoilers, but a character does lose a limb, and literally my jaw dropped because I was like, oh wow, that just happened. Damn, okay, like it is a big thing, you know.
Agreed.
Like because it really upsets the balance of that character, you know. Like
See,
it's like,
we
wow,
have
that's
a comment by the lovely Clerical Air, which is Saf, that's Dagon from Critical Role is in a combat wheelchair, and he's super badass. So
hell yeah.
Yes, I forgot. I was gonna mention that, but I forgot. Yeah, they did. Derek, I forget his name.
Dagon.
Dagon.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now we have a Warforged mechanic who can help you create a battle combat wheelchair if you need one.
Yes.
All right, so it looks like they're pretty filled out. The only thing we're missing is a name for our goblin therapist.
Hmm.
How is the Warforged coming, Ben? How is our Hero Forged OJ?
It's good. I'm still working on it. I'm just trying to get it right. You know, sometimes you get those ones where it's just like, ah, yes, this straight away. Like with our Goblin Boy, I literally was like, yep, I know exactly what I'm doing. But this one's it's taking me some time. You know, just trying to get it right.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, it's definitely coming along. It's definitely looking good.
I just like the idea of NTCs being able, or like, sorry, PCs being able to do odd jobs for odd job and gain proficiency and skills. I just really enjoy the concept of giving a party the choice
mhm.
of, yeah, you can do this random little plot hook and gain a proficiency if you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe without even telling the party, just be like, here you go, do a thing. Oh, thank you. We gotta hydrate. Thank you, Sam.
Ooh, thank you, Seth. I like the idea that maybe we should have a gender neutral name for the goblin.
I do
Yes,
think that is
100%. Yeah.
a good idea. I feel like that. I feel our goblin character is honestly very much a comfort character to a lot of
Yeah.
adventurers. Like, oh yeah, like our little goblin therapist. Yeah, they're
We keep making those because we had the illustrator, and now we've got. Now I feel like our Goblin Boy is up there with the illustrator. You
I
know.
feel like the illustrator that we previously made, and then this channel,
Mhm.
the illustrator and OJ and our little goblin therapist all get together and just talk.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
Yes.
they just hang out.
Yeah.
Like on the weekends, the adventurers might come across all three of them hanging out in a coffee shop, and they're like,
Yeah.
"What?"
What are you doing here?
They go to have their beach episode, and they're just there on the beach already. Just like, ah, you made it.
What? It's like, wait,
Hello.
what?
You made it to the beach episode. Wait, what are you guys doing here? We're having our beach episode. What are you doing?
We're having our beach episode. We have to deal with you guys all day.
I was looking up names, and one that kind of stuck out to me was Lexius, and they can go by Lex for short.
Ooh, I love that actually. I think it's so pretty and could be
Yeah.
masculine or femme.
Yeah.
Also, we don't know what
Yeah.
the beach episode is. Saf, it's a myth.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay, so how do you spell it, Mike?
Lex
Lex
Eus.
Eus. I really like that. I like it a lot,
Yeah.
actually.
Lexius.
Cool.
Yeah.
Ben, you're gonna
Lexius
give a
and
Discord message with the information for all of them in that, just so I can come back to it later.
Very nice.
Cool. So we have Lexius, who is a goblin therapist with a magic setup for their shop. They're they them pronouns. They have a coin that is their business card, as well as a summoning, basically a summoning stone where you can kind of ping it and let them know that you're needing to talk. They have a bag of holding that is flavored as a book that is their office. And then we have OJ, who is Oddjob, who is a warforged, also they them, specializes in artificial limbs and prosthetics, as well as wheelchairs for adventurers. Oddjob's workshop. They can do payment plans to pay off their debts for these prosthetics, or you can just do odd jobs for them. Both characters are there to help the party and help them develop their characters, and or can be used as plot device, or can even be used in downtime.
I like that.
I love it. This is
Same.
great. Look at these wholesome beans.
They are wholesome beings. I love them very much.
They are.
Real quick, how's everybody feeling? You guys all right?
Yeah, doing well. How about yourself? How are you feeling, like, about these two individuals that we've created now?
I like the fact that they what's the word I'm looking for? That we just did it not even thinking about it. It just
Yeah.
came about.
Mhm.
It wasn't really stressful. And I think those are the best kinds of characters to make. Just ones that you enjoy because you know what? You create them with people and with friends. And I'm happy
Yeah.
about the way we made things.
Yeah.
I think some of the best characters come out of random conversation. Whether
Mhm.
characters or NPCs, they just come out of the best, like, random things.
Agreed. Uh,
Perfect. So we have two wonderful characters. So, Mike, how did you feel about coming on to Sometimes Dungeons, Sometimes Dragons, with me and Ben having no script or idea what we were going to do? How do you feel now that we are almost done with our show for this evening, having created two NPCs that are very special to us now?
Frankly, I was thinking about that all week and be like, "Oh God, what's gonna happen?" And then after having this conversation, it was cool. It was nice. Um, you two are both one of my favorite peoples, so just
Aw,
like
Oh,
we love you
Mike.
too.
Love you, Mike.
so just being able to talk with y'all is nice, and being able to
Aw.
create these two like wonderful and wholesome
Some
beings.
beans.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, before we close out, is there anything else
Therefore,
you'd
just
like to plug
almost
besides your
done.
handles? Anything else? I'm gonna let Ben
Um,
finish our Hero Forge before we end out. But is there anything you'd like to plug specifically?
Don't forget to follow Game Raider Girl and Bendis D&D on all platforms.
I
Because
said
they're great.
you, not us.
Uh,
I don't know who
I
those two are. They sound kind of weird
We
though.
sound like
they sound
nerds.
they sound amazing.
Kind
Um,
of nerdy.
I'm DruidGeek on TikTok, DruidGeek01 on Twitch. You can see me hyping up Baxter and Andrews um, Houses of Barovia stream every Sunday. And just yeah.
You can just hang out. You're a great support to the community, in all honesty. So,
Heck yes.
a fantastic support.
Thank you.
You're also hopefully going to come back for the Rolling for Charity stream in November.
Yes.
So
Absolutely. I'm so excited for that.
I'm so looking forward to it. I can't wait to get back into the charity stream. We are working on it.
So remind me, what was the lovely Warforged name?
It is Lexus. It's Lexeus.
Alexis. Cool. I also want it noted that if anyone ever says like the car, he just blinks and is very confused.
Yeah, they have no idea what they're talking about.
I didn't even realize that.
They just go by Lex, and they're like, I don't understand what you're
What are
talking
you
about.
talking
What
about?
is a car?
Oh my god,
Two wheels. It drives like a wagon.
Don't we have
Sounds
just
like an
wagons for
interesting
that?
idea. I should make that.
Don't we just have wagons for that?
Everything is just larger wheelchairs.
Oh my god! I love that.
Absolutely amazing.
I love that so
Right.
much. All right, Ben.
How has it been almost 2 hours at this point?
Because
I know,
we
right?
made some very enjoyable characters and had some very good D&D conversation.
Agreed.
I set up an automation, not an automobile. That's an automobile. That is correct, Seth.
All right. Let me just download that real quick, and then we'll send that over to Ivy.
Cool, and I will throw it up on stream before we end for this evening.
I think is that it? Nope, that's not it. Where did it go?
Oh.
Thank you guys again for inviting me. This was nice.
We absolutely enjoyed
Yeah,
having you. Thank you for being
great.
on.
There you go.
All right, let's see. Oh my god. I love them. All right, hold on. Let me throw this up on stream. Lexus, cool.
Yeah. I feel like Lexus is one of those Warforged that kind of like had like an older purpose, and again is quite like an older Warforged, but has kind of chosen to like repurpose themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
They've kind of got that. They've kind of got that look to them,
I
you know.
very much love them. All right, let me throw this up on stream here. And move them. Oh,
Look at that lovely person.
Lovely boy, or girl,
Yeah.
or whatever they want to be.
or whatever they want to be. There he is. There they are up on stream. Perfect. There we have Lexus, our lovely.
Oh, my name is
Or
Lexus.
lovely-
Lex Luthor is a bald villain with a god complex. Yes, Seth. Absolutely.
Oh, I love them. I love them very much. Cool. Perfect. So we have our two
Amazing.
characters that could be thrown into any game wherever you might like to put them. This has been me and Ben, who do this almost every other Friday. A couple days off, weirdly. We'll see. Most of the time we're here every other Friday. This has been the lovely DruidGeek, who is a wonderful and loving, supportive person who we loved very much to have on the show today.
Heck yeah.
We are going to go raid Lark Network because they are doing the final championship of Melee Ball. So
Yes,
we've
they
got
are.
two teams head to head. We're gonna go raid them because I have a feeling it's going to be an edge on your seat game. So
Oh yeah.
we are going to, let me go, let's see, Lark Network. There they are. Perfect. All right. Boop. All right, perfect. I'm going to send you guys over there. Thank you again, Mike, for being on stream with us today.
Lovely having you, friend.
Perfect. And off we go.
Whee!
Oh, this was nice. This was awesome, guys. Thank you.